Hello and welcome to Hermetic Journeys. This is a special edition video. It's in between emblems 10 and 11, okay? Well, why am I doing this? Well, because exactly a year ago, in January of 2020, is when I released the first video to Hermetic Journeys, all right, concerning Atalanta Fugiens. And it's just really strange that I released the video on emblem 10 in January of 2021. Weird coincidence, weird synchronicity, but that's pretty much how my life goes. So I began looking back, and I certainly seeing the development of these things, how these videos came about, and how it progressed. It's really kind of an incredible thing to me. I'm humbled by the whole thing, and I want to thank everybody who's been watching and who's subscribed and all that stuff. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much. But I expressly want to thank some people who have contributed a great deal of their time to help me with this, because this stuff is really hard to understand. I don't have an alchemical background, I'm not an alchemist, right? So addressing that specifically, I must mention my friend Steve Kalick, okay? Who is an alchemist of many, many years, tremendous experience. And I refer to him as my Obi-Wan Kenobi, because there are sometimes I hit some of these walls and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, right? Okay, so he's an email away, and he always responds with such beautiful verbiage. I mean, you know, his experience is profound, and his realization the spiritual component to alchemy is so fully developed. It's just amazing, and it really has helped me in my path. And Steve, I want to personally thank you, of course, for everything that you've done to help. Then there's Donna Bielik, who's released the digital publication Furnace and Fugue, and that has given me a whole new perspective on Atalanta Fugiens, okay? In terms of what the book is in its entirety, which I will reveal to you in Emblem 26. Of course, you can read Donna's essay in Furnace and Fugue, and she kind of reveals that as to how it unfolds, and it's just absolutely mind-boggling. Your mind will be blown, unless you want to wait till we hit Emblem 26, like next year sometime, probably. In any case, thank you, Donna, as well, for your incredible work and all the scholars that worked with you, and also my friends Kathy McHugh-Pelock and John Sergio, who have helped me with some of the technical aspects of the video. Kathy's given me a tremendous input in terms of how the videos, you know, look, how they should look, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, because she's a producer and she produces all kinds of videos and things like that. So thank you to Serge, who he helped me with the green screen stuff, to John Sergio and Kathy McHugh-Pelock as well. And thanks to everybody who's been watching. So why am I doing this? Well, there's three things I want to unveil to you. Essentially, three things that I think are really, really important, that in case you just started watching these videos recently and you haven't looked at the original videos, there's a lot missing from those original videos, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, I'm not going to know exactly what I'm doing now either, but I was learning, right? It's just, I've grown to the point where, you know, I have a general sense of what I think all this is about. I think, again, I still have a lot more to learn. And so that's why I share this with you, because I love to learn and I love to share it with people, and I hope you're learning too. I hope this is making sense. I know my dad many, many times will say to me, hey, great video. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but it's a great video. But I know he's getting it too. So in any case, thanks to all of you, everybody, for watching. So what do you want to talk about here? Well, I'd like to kind of give you the background on Atalanta Fugiens in terms of what it was based on. Why are there all these mythological characters in here? Why are there Roman gods and Greek gods and all that stuff? What's going on? Well, Michael Meyer and many alchemists from his time, from the 1600s and 1700s, were tremendously influenced by a work by a Roman poet. It's a 15-volume poem called the Metamorphoses, right? And it's written by a guy named Ovid. His official name is Publius Ovidius Naso, okay, otherwise known as Ovid. A lot easier to remember Ovid, right? And the Metamorphosis is unlike the Iliad or the Odyssey or some of these classic, or the Mahabharata, a lot of these classic works, where you have the protagonist or the hero behaving in such a way as to give you an example of how you should behave over the course of your life. Well, the metamorphosis is very, very real. So a lot of bad stuff happens to the gods and to the humans, and it's kind of a poem that spans from the creation of the world all the way up until the Roman Empire, Augustus, the Roman leader Augustus, right? And that's the metamorphosis. And Michael Meyer draws on a lot of this imagery for Atalanta Fugiens. And I don't think I've ever really talked about that. I've kind of hinted at it, but never really talked about it. So if you're curious as to where some of these odd images and things like that come from, it's from Ovid's Metamorphosis, for the majority of them anyway, okay? The other thing I want to address, the second thing, is the frontispiece. Now, the frontispiece is a fancy name for essentially the book cover, the cover of the book. Now, emblem books were very, very popular around the time that Atalanta Fugiens was released. In fact, it wasn't the only emblem book. There were a lot. This is one of my favorites. It's called A Collection of Emblems, Ancient and Modern, by a guy named George Withers. And I love this book. Every night I read 2 emblems from this book, and I'll show you, kind of give you an idea. So you have, kind of like Atalanta Fugiens, you've got an emblem and you've got an epigram or a poem. These are poems, and these are so cool because they're emblems, but the poetry is like life lessons, and it's lovely, and I absolutely love this. So check this out. It's really, really cool book. George Withers, A Collection of Emblems, Ancient and Modern. Okay, so just to show you that Atalanta Fugiens wasn't the only thing out there. It was probably the most unique thing out there in terms of having sheet music within it. Okay, so it's this multimedia experience that other emblem books just were not. I mean, Michael Meyer was quite the visionary in terms of that, okay? So on the cover of the frontispiece, I'd like to read you the translation of what Michael Meyer has written, okay? And it may shed some light on some other things. The fleeing Atalanta, which means the new chemical emblems regarding the secrets of nature, partly suitable for the eye and the mind by means of copper plates and the mottos, epigrams and annotations accompanying them, partly suited to the ear and the refreshment of the soul by means of 50 musical fugues for 3 voices, of which 2 correspond to a simple melody, which is suited to be sung in strophes of 2 lines, emblems which lend themselves to being looked at, read, contemplated, comprehended, judged, sung, and listened to with particularly great pleasure. By Michael Meyer, member of the Imperial Consistory, Doctor of Medicine, Knight of the Corps d'Elite, etc., published in 1617. Okay, just wanted to read that to you because we never even looked at the cover piece, of the frontispiece, of the cover of the book. And rimming this wonderful little poem here are the different components to the story of Atalanta Fugiens, which I'd like to talk about right now. I'd like to retell the story to those of you who perhaps came on board after the first few videos, haven't seen the first few videos. I don't really spend a lot of time on the story. I briefly tell it. I'm going to tell it to you now. Again, I'm going to revise it. And the reason I'm doing this is with something that I recently discovered, in fact, last night, concerning what the story of Atalanta Fugiens is a metaphor. It's a metaphor, and I'm gonna go through the story with you and then explain that. And it's just incredible. It's going to blow your mind. Okay, so who is Atalanta? Atalanta is a person from Greek legend. She is a huntress, right? A very, very fast runner, excellent with the bow. And for some reason, she doesn't want to get married. Some stories say she consulted an oracle who told her not to get married. Of course, the oracle in Greek stories is someone who is a mystic, okay? And people who ran up against something in life that they couldn't handle would go consult the oracle. And the oracle will tell them, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, okay? Another version of the story is her father is a king. He wants her to get married. She has no interest in getting married. She just wants to hunt, okay, and do her thing. Okay, so she doesn't want to get married. So what does Atalanta do? She comes up with this idea that whoever wants to marry me has to race me, okay? And of course, the suitors who challenge her to this always die. I mean, either they win her hand in marriage or they die, and those are the rules of the game, okay? And all of them die, okay? So enter Hippomenes, our protagonist of the story. Hippomenes recognizes that he can't beat her, and he's smart. So what he does is he goes to Aphrodite, who's the goddess of love in Greek mythology, of course, right? Now, Aphrodite tells him, I have a plan. Take these 3 golden apples that I've taken from the Garden of Hesperides, and that's a whole other story, which we won't get into. And during the race, drop an apple. Atalanta will stop because it's so beautiful. She'll pick it up. She'll lose time. That'll give you time to gain on her. Do this 3 times and you will win the race. Great plan. Why? Because it worked, right? Hippomenes wins the race, wins Atalanta's hand. However, he neglects to thank Aphrodite for the golden apples, for the idea, for the whole scheme, right? And she gets pissed off. So what does she do? Well, she puts the whammy on them. Because she's a goddess of love, she imbues them with passion, and they enter a temple of a god Keveli, and who is an earth goddess, and they defile the temple. In other words, they make love in the temple, okay? Now, because of this, Keveli is not wild about this, and she turns them into lions that pull her chariot for the rest of time. Okay, kind of a sad ending to a story. Now, why did I tell you this story again? Because recently, the other night, I discovered something that is astonishing. So, in Atalanta Fugiens, or in the introduction to it, Michael Meyer tells us that Atalanta represents Mercury. Hippomenes represents sulfur. We have the golden apples. The temple is a vessel. He tells us right here. From Hippomenes and Atalanta lying together in the temple of the mother of the gods, that is, a vessel, are lions produced, or they acquire a red color. Red color, get it? Okay, so the temple is a vessel. They create the amalgam in the temple by their copulating, all right? And they're turned into 2 lions, a male and a female lion. Okay, so big deal. So what does that mean? Well, I found out the other night that a male and female lion in most alchemical manuscripts always is a symbol of the philosopher's stone. Hence their red color. As Michael Meyer says, they acquire a red color. Okay, so the story of Atalanta Fugiens is a metaphor for the creation of the philosopher's stone. Isn't that awesome? I'm telling you, I learn something every time I look at this book, okay? I am so humbled by it. And I'm humbled by everyone who has watched, and thank you to everyone for watching. That ends this really brief little video. I'm working on Emblem 11. We have some really fun cameos coming up in Emblem 11. A lot of my family and friends have expressed interest in doing cameo appearances, so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And of course, the usual goofiness. The mummy candles will be back in the next video. I promise, Dad. Promise my dad. Okay. So please stay tuned. Emblem 11 is coming. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for watching. I love this. What can I say? Have a great day.